Dear colleagues, we are now moving to another very interesting as well as very inspiring section of this webinar. And today with us, we have two very inspiring young leaders who are inspiring transformative change in their communities through their actions and in their forest ecosystems. But before we move forward to bring them on board, I have with me here today co-moderating this session, Alina, who is with us also during the previous youth webinar. Alina is a communications and outreach specialist at the Food and Agriculture Organization and a member of the World Food Forum. Alina will have time to talk more about her shortly. I will also then move ahead to quickly introduce the people that are on our panel. I just need to change that there. Yeah, today we have together with us here two very inspiring youth. One is Otuo-Akyampong Boakye, who is the founder of Eco Warriors Movement, and he is also the winner of the World Forestry Congress Forest Change Maker competition. He's going to tell us about his story, and I know that a lot of us have our inspiring stories in our own ways, but we might pick a leaf from these stories that are going to be shared with us. And then we have Sambat Ranabhat, who is from Nepal, also here together with us today. He's a youth champion for nature and forests, and also a member of the Forest Communicators Network. Yes, if we have them here already, I'll request them to unmute their videos, turn on their videos, please, as you join us. I maybe cannot see that. Yeah, we have Sambat there. Do we have Otuo here? Great, yes. Carrying forward, we will, yeah, I'm inviting you now, Sambat, as I don't see Otuo. I don't know, I can't see my screen properly. Can you, Pierre-Andrea, do you see Otuo?
I see him. Otuo, can you unmute and start your video, please, so we can spotlight you as well. Paging for Otuo. I see you are in the room, but maybe we get started and then we'll bring him in. Yes, you are unmuted now. If you start your video, we can also spotlight you.
Thank you very much, Otuo. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. To go ahead, we have a very quick question for they will tell us more about themselves. We have a very quick question for Sambat and Otuo. Can you please tell us how you are making a difference on the ground for both the forest ecosystems and the communities that you work in? We know that you work with the forest ecosystems and also with communities. I will give it over to Sambat first. Thank you.
Thank you, Amos. Hello and namaste. I'm Sambat Ranabhat and I'm joining from Nepal, and it's very great to be here with you all, and thank you for inviting me and participating me as a guest in this program. I am very much glad to be here with you guys. And addressing toward your question, Amos, the difference, basically, I am working at an agriculture graduate officer in Ekishi Agriculture Knowledge Center, which is a government organization in Nepal. And this organization basically focuses on agriculture, forest, agriculture, agri-ecology, and other different kinds of aspects that are related to the nature and society also. And describing about my experience on making a difference on this society using the community and using the various kinds of the information, the activity or different kinds of awareness programs that we are conducting in the ground root level is mainly focused on balanced use of the forest and agriculture in a similar way. As we know that whenever we talk about agriculture, and the forest ecosystem, these two are competing with each other. For instance, if we want to expand agricultural land, then it directly impacts the forest area. And similar kinds of result is seen in case of watershed, water resource, and other natural aspects. So expansion in the agricultural land should be done in a very sustainable and very managed way, so that it will not have any kinds of impact on the other natural resource. And regarding about various kinds of work that I have conducted and I am conducting we are creating various kinds of conference, seminar, and awareness program. We are teaching the local people how to use forest resource efficiently and in a sustainable manner, so that both the ecosystem will grow on by on. And similarly, other programs that we are related are, for example, we are tagging the forest so that various kinds of indigenous or local trees or the forest biodiversity that are preserved in our country will be sustained and will be remain longer in the coming days. And similarly, other kinds of work that we are also participating are, we are educating people on how they can fulfill their basic needs from the forest resource. As you know that Nepal has very rural and different people who having a very low living standard, and many people are also totally dependent on the forest ecosystem. And this dependence is creating a kind of pressure for the conservation of the forest too. So these are the various kinds of the work that me and my community are working on. I hope this addresses your question, Amos.
Thank you very much, Sambat. It's very interesting to know that you are working at the interface between agriculture and forestry, two different domains that are always seem to be competing against each other. But it's very interesting there to know that you are able to pull in awareness to actually demonstrate and show to the people that the two sectors can coexist together. I will just quickly put that question to Otuo as well. Then I will give over to Alina. Otuo, would you also please tell us how you are making a difference on the ground for both forest ecosystems and the community that you work with?
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity given me, for me to also share the little we are doing here concerning forestry sustainability. I must say that the Eco-Warriors movement is a movement of young people that's work towards environmental sustainability. And then most of our projects are pivoted on the 5 P's of sustainable development. So we look at people, we look at the planet, we look at peace, we look at prosperity, then we look at partnership. So these are the pivotal points of our projects. So one of our projects, and that is the reason why I'm here today, is the climate smart tree planting project. That is where we are trying to help our community address the 3 most important challenges of environmental sustainability. So according to the United Nations, biodiversity loss, climate change, and pollution are 3 important environmental challenges. And so personally, I'm a professional environmental scientist, a research scientist. And so I've been looking at how I can relate science to society. So how can I relate my ideas, my knowledge in science? And for first degree, I did something in biological sciences, and then I specialized in microbiology. Then I did a second degree in environmental sciences. And so I'm looking at how I'll be able to help society with my knowledge in science, yet ensuring that the environment is sustained for posterity. That is where we came up with this project in the community. And it stems from my basic motivation. So growing up as a child, I live in a semi-what urban community, what is currently referred to as a peri-urban community. And so we had a lot of trees around, and the trees provided habitat for birds, and for that matter, arboreal organisms. And so when I was a kid, the sounds of the bird, the melodious sounds of the bird at dawn was a natural alarm that woke me up and other children in my community. And so we didn't struggle to set an alarm clock. The birds will sing at dawn. And as they sing, the rhymes woke us up to prepare for school. I enjoyed this during my childhood days. But now, what do we see in the community? What do I see in my community? Development and urbanization is resulting in deforestation and is creating a somewhat problem of pollution in my community. And so as a scientist, how will I be able to address this? I was looking at the basic science so that I can communicate with the community to understand and also agree with the project and own the project so that we can together push the project forward. So basically, we all know that green plants, through the process of photosynthesis, are able to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and refresh ambient air with oxygen. This is a simple scientific process everybody in my community knows because it's taught in the primary and the basic schools. So I use this as the basis for my project. Such that when we plant trees, the trees will give out oxygen, which we need. This oxygen will refresh the ambient air, and then they will take in the carbon dioxide, which we don't want. And so, as they are doing that, they are also sequestering carbon from the atmosphere. And by that means, I am addressing SDG 13, that is climate action through mitigation, tree planting. Moreover, from the genesis of time, when human population moved from the nomadic life to living in settlements, waste generation became a problem. And so in my community, one of the greatest problems is waste management. And so we have refuse dumps and public toilets. These, sometimes before you get to these areas, the stench that greets you is enough to tell you that don't come. And so we are facing a problem of air pollution as well, because the refuse dumps and the public toilets are providing what we call odorous compounds in science, basic science, odorous compounds. And these compounds pollute the ambient environment. And so if we can plant trees in this environment, then the trees are known to absorb these odorous compounds like sulfur dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and some other volatile organic compounds, which the trees would absorb. And so it means that we'll be able to also help with the problem of pollution. Then, the leaves of plants serve as settlers for particulate matter, that is dust. And if you live in Ghana, from where I live, if you are in Ghana, you appreciate that our roads are very dusty. And so it ends up polluting the air with dust particles. And so the leaves of the plant will serve as dust settlers, such that the dust particles will settle on the leaves, also cleansing and then promoting air quality of the community. Lastly, the birds. That's when I was a kid. They used to sing for me to wake up. We are losing them because of the fact that we are cutting down trees. And so if we're able to plant trees, then these trees will serve as habitat for these birds who have ordinarily lost their habitat and therefore are going extinct. To come back to the community. Then children, like my children and that of other children, would also be able to enjoy the melodious sounds of the birds as I enjoyed when I was a kid. So the climate smart tree planting is trying to use a scientific means to bridge the gap between society and then sustainability. So basically, this is what we do. So we plant local indigenous tree species. Then we also plant fruit trees, such as mangoes, pawpaws, and coconut. So it also helped kids, because when I was a kid, we used to go around picking mangoes. Nobody asked us because mangoes were all around. And in my university, for instance, we had a road that we called the mango road, because that road was demarcated. The boundaries of the road was demarcated by the mangoes. So we could walk to these areas, eat mangoes free of charge, balance our diet with that. Magniferins from mangoes were very important nutrients we needed to balance our diet when we were kids. This nowadays we can't see. So this is what we see to bring back to the climate smart planting project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Otuo, for that detailed insight into how you are creating a change, transformation in your community and forest ecosystems. Three very important things that I learned alongside others is how you are transforming your eco-nostalgia into action on ground. That's a very important thing. We all have a memory of how good the environment was back in the days, and we bear a responsibility to bring that environment to reality. The second thing is how you are finding a cut between forestry and the sustainable development goals. That's something that is worth noting. And then the third very important thing is the fact that you are using science, also science-based knowledge, to transform the communities. I know that many of us that are here today have had the privilege to study in schools, in good universities, institutions of higher learning, and to have some background in science. We got this earlier on in the chat, what people are interested in, what they study or what they do. And we all bear a responsibility. And I hope that we have some kind of inspiration from the talk that Otuo has given us to put our science, our knowledge, science-based knowledge that we have learned into action in the communities. Also being mindful not to despise traditional or indigenous knowledge. Thank you very much. I will now hand you over to Alina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amos. Hello, everyone. My name is Alina. As you have seen, I'm a communications and outreach specialist working in the forestry department at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And besides that, I'm also part of the World Food Forum, a youth platform that combines a lot of youth initiatives from all around the world, trying to advocate for the transformation of our agri-food systems, and forests are very important. And I would like to pull my chapeau, as you're saying, also to the organizers and the whole team, Pierre, Amos, Francesca, Rayani, everyone who's behind this, organizing these youth dialogues. This is my second one that I can attend. And what I really like is that they are inviting young people where you can basically exchange your experiences, because this also creates more credibility if you can exchange with your own kind and your equals. And having said that, I mean, Otuo and Sambat, both of you are change makers in your communities. In a very short sentence, less than 1 minute, can you tell us what are, let's say, the key challenges that you were encountering, and what are the lessons learned, and how have you overcome these challenges implementing your projects in your communities? I would pass the floor to Sambat.
Thank you, Elena. I hope I will complete it in a time frame. Talking about the various challenges that we are facing while working in the conservation field, our working field is very huge. When you talk about forest, it is interconnected to agriculture, it is interconnected to soil, and it is interconnected to everything. So taking everyone and balancing each and every sector is very difficult in terms of the conservation system. And you have to find that tipping balance between everything so that you will help each and every sector to be growing. And talking about the second challenges is that while conducting any conservation activity, it is very difficult to work according to the governmental plan and policy. I have already seen a question in the chat box that, sorry, it was not a question, it was a statement that Angela Mills also told that developing ready project in Amazon is killing the forest. And similarly, here in Nepal, there are various kinds of developmental work that directly affect the forest and other natural resources. And unmanaged infrastructure, rapid urbanization, and similar kinds of activity have greatly expensed the use of the forest system. And talking about the third challenges is that it is very difficult to find the similar mindset and similar objective community people in our sector. Since we are moving toward working in the field of the conservation, and we should have a community, or we should have a group to work together. In Nepali, there is a saying, it says that Ek thuki suki, soy thuki nadi. Of course, you will not understand that. I will paraphrase it. What it tells is, whenever a single person is clapping, then it gives a minor sound. But when 100 people are clapping together at once, then it will be a massive sound. Many people will hear that. So a kind of collaboration is always necessary in our field, and which is a kind of very poor and weak here in terms of Nepal too. And other challenges are in my country, in Nepal. Most of the indigenous group of people are very much connected to the forest resource for their basic needs. And whenever we approach that community and we tell them that not to exploit the forest as you are doing, then there is no any kinds of alternatives for them. Since very difficult geographical region and very poor education system, they are compiled to exploit or use the forest in a greater way. And due to the lack of this alternative solution for them, they are creating a huge pressure in the forest. These are some of the few challenges. And talking about how we can overcome them, basically proper planning and proper management of the people, and similarly gaining a kind of balance between the each and every natural ecosystem sector, and making a great plan and implementing it properly help for the conservation as well as sustaining the life of the people. And I will not like to take much time. I will just pass you.
Thank you very much. And please feel free also to compliment yourself in the chat if you would like to add something. And I don't want to comment too much, but I think you said something very important. So the challenges are to make people understand the importance of forests and to protect them. So I think also advocating for more forestry education would be nice. Then you said one major obstacle was also to bring youth to the table and to have a say in policy discussions. And I think a key word is also education. So thank you very much for sharing your insights from the ground. Very interesting. And moving to Otuo, to a very different landscape, to Ghana. So the same question to you. What are the, let's say, obstacles and difficulties while you started implementing your program? How did you overcome them? And what are your lessons learned? I just remind you just in 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, in 1 minute. So I'm going to do this in 1 minute. I think the major problem or the challenge, I don't call it a problem because I think challenges are meant to overcome. And so the major challenge we faced with this particular project was project communication. How to be able to communicate the project to the community for them to understand the essence of the project. You know, I'm a scientist. You know, in science, how we relate and communicate is different from what is done in the ordinary language. So I remember the first experience I had, I went to a community trying to explain to them how the whole process of carbon sequestration, how trees can sequester carbon through their stems. And at the end of the day, I met about 50 people, none of them could understand. And so they didn't really understand the reason why they should plant the trees. But later, when I changed the communication style to come to their level, where now I was using what they know. So I started communicating to them with what they know. So start from the known to the unknown. So when I started from the known, using photosynthesis, they cannot appreciate the fact why they need trees in the environment. People began to appreciate the project. So I think in the initial stages of this project communication was a problem, and how people can rethink and then learn to learn. You know, communities, local communities already have their perceptions about such activities like tree planting. So how people can learn to relearn. Also another challenge we face. We didn't understand why they should plant trees, because from times immemorial, trees have always been in the environment for them. They've been cutting the trees down and then they'll be using whatever they want. But now we want them to plant trees. So why would they stop? Why would they plant a cash crop? Why would they plant a crop? At the end of the day, that you can get a financial gain from. But why should they plant trees? And so that was also one of the challenges. People on learning to relearn, and then the communication of the project. Thank you very much.
No, thanks to you. While you're speaking, could you just stay a little bit closer to the microphone so we can hear you better? Maybe for the next question, okay? Thanks. You were saying something very important. You were throwing in also the word communications, and I'm very passionate about communications, and also the World Forestry Congress team is launching video competition, blog competitions. So maybe could you tell us what role has communication in your project and why communication is so important, especially to reach young people? And what means of communication are you using? Otuo, maybe you can directly address the question.
Thank you very much. I want to do this in 1 minute. I hope my voice is clear and then I can be heard loud and clear.
Yes, my voice very well. Good.
Okay, so communication, like you said. So I had to change the approach. In this particular project, we started with storytelling. So started with storytelling sessions. Like I shared with you, my childhood days. So I have a story I have entitled When I Was a Child. And this we do it in short videos. WhatsApp is now a common platform, and social media has helped us to advance communication. And people would prefer to watch short videos, which will not increase with lower bandwidth for how we say data. So something between 10 and then 15 megabytes. Even students can download and then can appreciate. So the strategy was, first, we did a need analysis in the community. You know, I'm a scientist, so mostly I have to go with the empirical analysis before I can do. So first, we started with a need analysis. Then we started with focus group discussion, where we could appreciate how the people can understand, and then the language they want us to even go into. And that led to another project where we were trying to translate climate information to local languages. That's another project altogether we are also doing as Eco Warriors. It all came up from this project. So communication, what we are doing now is we are using the WhatsApp platform, we are using social media. In fact, we are using Facebook very well. And so we do storytelling. In the storytelling sessions, we sit down with students. We go to community schools, sit down with them, we tell them stories. We record in short videos. That is within 2 to 3 minutes. We try to reduce it to about 10 to 15 megabytes. We share it on our WhatsApp platforms, we share it on our Facebook, and then case everybody wants to download. And because it's short, people want to enjoy it. So that is the strategy we are using now to communicate, and it's doing wonderfully well. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And I agree. I mean, in my native language, there is a saying that despite having technical knowledge, data, which are very important, technical expert, without communication, there won't be anything, because you need to convey your knowledge to the audience. Exactly. Thank you very much. And Sambat, you are a blogger yourself. I've seen some of your YouTube videos. So you're using videos as a tool to raise awareness and communicate. Would you like to tell us something about why using this mean and how does it work in your community?
Thank you. It's a very good question that you have asked. I will directly want to dive into the question. As you know that if we look the statistics of the world social media, then we can know that half of the world is using social media. Around 4.5 billion people are using a social media. Then just think about it. A single content that you create and a single touch through which you posted the content in internet, then you can reach a half world within a single touch and a single content. That's the power of social media. Just think about that. If you want to convey, if you want to create any kinds of awareness among the people, then you couldn't find anything that is faster, that is convenient, that is efficient than that. And social media in nowadays are improving in various ways that we can target our audience, we can target the age group, we can target our masses. So it is a very essential tool. And the social media nowadays is mostly used in terms of entertainment and in terms of comedy and other various kinds of this stuff. And if we could use social media for the conservation work, then it would be a very good platform to work for everyone. So basically, yeah, you have already mentioned I am a YouTuber too, and most of my video are in Nepali language because I want to reach toward the community or the people who are native in my country. And most of the work I have posted in my videos are how the people can use agriculture, how they can use the forest and other ecosystem together. And talking about this communication and the social media tool, it is both difficult and easy also. Difficult in sense that you should know what you are talking about, you should know about your subject matter, and you should know whom you are targeting. And the communication is easy also because once you believe in yourself and once you know that your content is good and you are conveying a better message, then you can reach a whole lot of people at once. So it is both gain and loss situation. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Very well said. Thanks to both of you. And let me just wrap up. I'm so sorry that we didn't provide you with more time because I think you can tell much, much more. And please feel free to share your story in the chat. And I'm also sure that our two panelists are like to be contacted by one of our audience members here. And let me just circle back to what Nyasha was saying as well. Because obviously, when I was young, I was always very intimidated by people and young people who did already something so remarkable. But basically, it's not about comparing yourself to these remarkable young people, but to be inspired. Because if we remember what Nyasha was saying, she had to struggle with her anxiety. But along the way, you can also find your own voice and your own calling, let's say. And having said this, I would like to thank the team for inviting me. I would like to thank both of our panelists and the other guests for sharing your own stories, for sharing insights from the ground. Thank you very much and all the best.